Hey guys, and welcome back to Vikings 4x4 and Adventure for another weekend of adventure. This weekend we have headed into the Myall Lakes National Park, a known favourite only 4 or so hours from Sydney up the M1, close to Newcastle on the mid-north coast. This weekend we're going to be staying at the Wells camping area in the middle of the Myall Lakes National Park. We hope to get down and do some four-wheeling on the beach, get in some nice fishing and drop the boat in to explore this beautiful area. So without further ado, let's get right into the adventure. The Wells campground is one of many campgrounds located in the Myall Lakes National Park, with access via Bulladila or Hawk's Nest. The campground is right on White Tree Bay in the Bomber Broadwater. We had been planning on getting back up to the mid-north coast for some time. After visiting the Diamond Head campground in the Crowdy Bay National Park, we fell in love with this area. The Myall Lakes National Park is located right in between Newcastle and Foster on the New South Wales mid-north coast. It combines bush camping with spectacular lake and beach views. Now the Wells is only a few hundred metres from Mungo Brush Campground, which is probably the most popular campground here in the Myall Lakes National Park, and that is because that is where you can access Mungo Beach. Now we are super excited that camp is right by the water here. The Bomber Broadwater, which is the lake behind me here, is completely salt water, which means that you can catch your estuary species in here like flatty brim and tailor. Whilst camp was being set up, we were greeted to one of the biggest surprises of the year, when a wild dingo blessed us with their presence. Get a look at this. Alright, literally this guy just scared the absolute hell out of me. You see him up there? That is a dingo. Myall Lakes National Park. As we were setting up, he's just waltzed out of the bush right here. Man, I was not expecting it. You see us over there. He popped out right up there, man. Thought it was someone's dog. Scared the life out of me. For those who don't know, the dingo is a medium-sized canine found all over Australia. They possess a lean, hard body adapted for speed, agility and stamina. The dingo has many coat colour variations depending on the location and environment, and are often considered the apex predator in Australia. They live in packs with a similar structure to that of wolves. Now that camp was fully set up, we settled down for the rest of the afternoon to prepare for a big day of exploring ahead tomorrow. The next morning we headed down to Mungo Beach nice and early to have a look at the conditions and see if the beach was drivable. Unfortunately, after a good look, we determined that the conditions were not right to drive on the beach. Although it is important if you choose to drive on this beach to adjust your tyre pressure, the reason we chose not to drive this beach was due to the large amount of soft sand. If you don't air down for this one, I doubt you would even make it off the access track onto the beach. Nevertheless, we went and dropped the boat in at Mungo Brush to explore some of the remote access campsites that the Myall Lakes have to offer. The Myall Lakes National Park is an honest favourite for most Sydney-siders. The place offers great walking, kayaking and fishing opportunities. There's a lot of accommodation on offer here, from camping to holiday parks to heritage-listed cottages. The fishing in the lakes here is said to be very promising. It's absolutely beautiful, and the most common fish that you are likely to catch here include brim, whiting, Australian salmon, flathead and mullet. You can pretty much throw a line in anywhere in this park, off the beach, off the banks, and you'll have a lot of fun. After the boat was in the water, we putted across 2 Mile Lake to our first destination, which is Joe's Cove Campground, a small boat or walking access campground on the southern end of 2 Mile Lake. So welcome to Joe's Cove camping area here. This awesome little campground is located off of the 2 Mile Lake here in the Myall Lakes National Park. It requires a small walk to get in or a boat, but once you're in here you can enjoy the tranquility and peacefulness of this campground. Now keep in mind it is a tent only campground, you can't get your car in here, but this place is incredibly peaceful. So let's have a short look around before we head back out on the water. Joe's Cove campground is named after Allan John Smith, who accidentally died here on the 2nd of June 1979 when his boat overturned while fishing. Despite the tragic backstory, Joe's Cove is a lovely little spot tucked away nicely. Up next, we headed for another short putt up 2 Mile Lake to the north side. Here we were greeted to 2 Mile Campground, another small boat-only access campground in the 2 Mile Sands region of the Myall Lakes National Park. So welcome to the 2 Mile Sands campground here in the Myall Lakes National Park. Now this one is pretty cool. It's not too far up from Joe's Cove campground, which is just a little bit back down the river here. However, the difference is this one requires a massive hike if you're looking at hiking in. It requires a 2-kilometer hike down this small little trail here. That's pretty massive if you don't have a boat. This place is incredibly secluded from the general public. There's nobody here and you really have to be very well prepared if you're coming out here. It's so remote. Anyway, let's not waste any more time showing you guys around before we head on to our next campsite. The 2 Mile Sands campground boasts complete remoteness and seclusion. It is quite small and there's only space for those few daring to trek all the way out here. It offers remote lakeside camping and is ideal for paddling and bird watching. These campgrounds just keep getting better and better, so our hopes were very high for the next one, which was Johnson's Beach Campground, up and around the corner off Bull and Bait Lake. Pulling into Johnson's Beach, you can see a spectacular little gem hidden away in the bush. Now get a look at this little gem tucked right away here in the Myall Lakes National Park. Johnson's Beach is really far away from anything. This place is super remote and super secluded. Anyway, let's not waste any more time. We'll show you guys around before we head to our final campsite up at Shelley Beach. Johnson's Beach boasts enormous size for such a secluded campground, most probably used for school camping or large group expeditions. This campground requires over half a day of hiking or a boat to access, although once you are here you can guarantee you'll only be bothered by the sounds of nature. Now we were off to our lucky last waterfront campsite, and after seeing Johnson's Beach we were eager to get a look. Our last destination is Shelley Beach Campground, roughly another kilometre upstream, right on the banks of Palmer's Bay, just off the notorious Myall Lake. Alright, we are here at our lucky last destination for our little boating adventure through the Myall Lakes, and have a look at this awesome little place, tucked away beautifully here on the lakeside. Now this place is a 3-hour walk from where we first started off. It's incredibly remote and the only access to here is via boat or walking. It's really popular for school camps apparently because of the large open areas, and you get tranquil views of the lake. Have a look down there, how beautiful that looks. So let's show you around and then head back down to Mungo Brush. Shelley Beach is the most remote spot that we had been to so far, and to our surprise, not only were there well looked after toilets, but there were actually other people here. There was a nice amount of open space and an absolutely beautiful view of the water. Well, now it was time for us to head back onto the boat and putt back down the lakes towards the boat ramp. The Myall Lakes offer such diversity in camping styles, fishing and even scenery. You can really see why this place is so popular among travellers. Now that we had gotten back safely to camp after a choppy ride back on the boat, it was time for us to head back down to Mungo Beach for a well-anticipated fish. Jarrod and his younger brother Liam had been waiting to give the beach a go all day, so we went down and sussed it out. We brought along some simple fishing gear for the surf. We were using salted pilchards as bait and just a simple salmon gill hook rig. It didn't take long before we attracted some attention. This dingo looked very similar to the one we had encountered on the first afternoon. Classic behaviour similar to the dingoes on Fraser Island, waiting for the fishermen to snag a catch so they can swoop in and take the fish. Although this dingo was right out of luck, as the wind was making it almost impossible to cast a line, and when we did manage to get out a decent cast, within 2 minutes it was being churned up in the surf and would end up right back at our feet. The scenery was amazing here. There was some gloomy weather off in the distance, but you still can't beat a nice mid-north coast beach sunset. We didn't give up easily, but after around an hour or so of appalling luck, we decided we weren't going to fight the wind any longer and made the decision to call it quits. A disappointing outcome, but at least we got to enjoy the sunset on this amazing beach. Man, what an afternoon we have just had down on Mungo Beach fishing. The conditions were absolutely horrific. I really didn't think that they were going to be this bad. After we went down there, we had a look and determined that it was just too bad. The wind was horrendous and we just could not get a line out. So now we're heading back to camp. The Myall Lakes National Park absolutely takes a spot on our favourites list, even with the somber weather and the conditions not being right for fishing or beach driving. This place has so much potential for those seeking adventure. With perfect conditions, this place would be a camper's paradise. With so much diversity, there is something for everyone in the Myall Lakes. Well, it's now time for our adventure through the Myall Lakes National Park to come to an end, and boy, what an adventure it was. If you enjoyed this one, guys, hit that big red subscribe button to stay up to date, and we will see you in the next adventure.